I'll sip my tea.
Take one last sip of my tea here. It's ginger and honey. It's good. It's good for my throbbing voice.
And your throbbing vagina. It's more for that than it is for your voice. Let's be serious.
How can
is there eucalyptus mint in there too?
Maybe. How'd you know? Because all tea has eucalyptus mint in it?
I don't know. It just sounds like something that would be in there to soothe your vaginal strands.
When you have a dad or when you have a son and a wife, you do a lot of yelling.
Can we talk about video games now?
Hello, everybody out there in the internet world. Welcome to the Turbo Duo Cast. We are the Turbo Duo. My name is Salvatore Mata. I'm your host today, and along with me is my hetero life mate, Trenton E. Wright.
But you missed the super intro, the super energy hyper power.
Welcome to the higher energy superpower.
There you go. Now it's an official episode.
Last episode, I actually said we are the higher energy superpower. I don't know what the hell I was thinking, but
you were probably thinking of POD. You know, we are the youth of the nation.
I really like that chant part. Who doesn't scream out loud when that chant part happens? Like you're in the car by yourself, and that comes on with the.
No, that's just you.
Am I the only one who sings
definitely.
in the car?
Oh, to POD, yeah. Unless it was on their first album. The Fundamental Elements of Southtown. That's the jam right there.
That's a good segue, because we're going to be talking today about a game, or a series of games that has a lot of influence with music.
It does.
Music.
Yes.
Music. There was a tie-in between the video games, and I think this might have been the first series where you had the licensed tracks.
This was like the precursor of Tony Hawk. Because Tony Hawk brought all the underground music into it.
If you guys are still wondering because you can't read the title of the podcast, we're talking about Road Rash.
Road Rash.
I don't know how do you start talking about Road Rash? It's just an amazing game.
It really is, and I'm surprised it didn't keep going. I mean, it kind of did, and then it just kind of faded out. And then there was a company, I think they just released it last year. They came out with the Road Redemption game,
right?
Which was
how did that work out? I haven't seen anything.
It was a digital only release. I think they did a Kickstarter on Indiegogo, and it was out on Steam first, and then on Xbox Live and PS4, and then they just put it out on Switch not too long ago. But I don't know how well it did, or I think it got decent reviews though. I want to say they had some developers that worked on the Road Rash
usually that's
series.
how it works.
Yeah,
they'll get some of the old developers. I mean, there's been a lot of people who have touched Road Rash.
Ooh,
from game to game, but there were two main guys that kind of got it started. If we want to kind of get into it,
and that was EA Sports. It's in the game,
but it was before EA Sports. It's in the game because this is back in the Electronic Arts. Remember that logo that would come in, and it was like the triangle and the circle,
like the
and
the three different colored ECA,
yep,
right?
It was a square. Yep, the square, the circle, and then the triangle. They kind of would float in. They looked like interlaced, and it would show up Electronic Arts. This is back in the days of their cardboard boxes.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
and just in case you're wondering, we done upgraded in the studio.
If you can hear with your ear holes, we have upgraded the microphone status, the mixer status.
As in not using an iPhone.
Yeah. So thanks for hanging on with us for the first few episodes. We're definitely stepping it up here. But let's talk about Road Rash. It's definitely one of the reasons I wanted to talk about Road Rash is it's a very influential game on, as you said, on future games that came after it. And I don't mean necessarily just the game itself and what happens in the game, but I think in the tone, the style, and kind of kicking off almost like an extreme era. I mean, the extreme era.
Oh, that was all about the 90s.
But really kind of more the late 90s. This was the first game came out in November of 1991. And that was the black box era,
the black box era of the Genesis games.
I was actually talking about the band Black Box, but
Oh. Who?
strike it up.
Wow, I didn't even know the name of that group.
The only reason I know is because it came on the radio today, and it was on the.
All right.
It was on the.
Don't act like you're
It was
smart.
on the dash. No, I'm not. I'm definitely not smart. No, because I had to marry my wife because she's the smart one. So every smart person has to bring across a dullard.
Right, and you just bring her down, is what you're saying.
Pretty much weighs it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Road Rash.
So, and the way I want to talk about Road Rash is not in the individual first 3 games. We're going to talk about 3 main titles. We're going to start with that early series, talking about Road Rash 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to delve a little bit into the reimagined Road Rash that came out first for 3DO and then for the other 32-bit consoles in 1994 and 1995. And then we're going to go a little bit on a tangent, and we're going to talk about Road Rash 64. Because I think all of these games have their own merits. All these different portions of the series. There were some other games.
Yeah, there was
Jailbreak, which
there was the 3DO one came out on PlayStation, and then the one after that was just called Road Rash 3D, which was
that's the least almost the least favorable one that I was when I did my research. That game,
which I think kind of looks. I don't know if it plays the same, but it's more like the Road Rash 64 version. But I don't know if I don't think it plays like that one.
Well, yeah, we'll get it. It's more of it focused more on the racing than it did the combat.
Yeah,
and that's one thing that got a lot of backlash.
Yeah,
and that actually impacted the development of Road Rash 64. So we'll get there.
Gotcha.
But Road Rash was, as we mentioned, it was developed by Electronic Arts, published by Electronic Arts. It was the brainchild of 2 guys, Randy Breen, who was the designer, and Dan Geisler. And these were 2 guys that were heavily involved in a lot of the early EA games.
Like Zany Golf?
I don't know if they worked on Zany Golf. But the guy who did the music, his name was Rob Hubbard. And remember last time we were talking, last episode, about the Genesis and how it had like that twangy bass, early Genesis sound.
Oh yeah,
I actually think that really typified a lot of the Electronic Arts releases back then, and Rob Hubbard was a guy who was responsible for a lot of that, so he really tapped into that piece of the Genesis audio hardware, and you
would say he tapped that Genesis ass,
so to speak,
right?
So to speak, and he worked on Lakers versus Celtics.
Ooh.
In the NBA playoffs, he worked on the Immortal, which was
what about the USA basketball? That was
same,
another one.
Same, yeah. That was basically
they were all basically the same.
A palette swap of Bulls versus Blazers
and NBA Live.
NBA Live, no, NBA Live is amazing. Don't.
Oh wait, was the
don't
Dream
loop
team,
NBA Live?
Did the Dream Team play differently?
No, that game played like Lakers versus Celtics, like you were
talking
okay.
About. Or Bulls versus Blazers on Super Nintendo.
Yeah, weren't there 3 of them? Lakers. It was like when the Celtics dropped off, then it was Bulls versus Lakers.
It's like I'll just swap a different team in. They're better.
Yeah.
Whatever team is hot at the time. Got to sell those cartridges.
And those games didn't have all the teams either.
Oh, they didn't have the NBA license.
They had the license, but they didn't have
players.
They had the license, but they didn't have all the teams. So imagine you go to play a game today, and there's only 16 teams in it.
Yeah, that was that whole thing with Jordan, right? Because he had his own game, so he wasn't in.
That was throughout the 90s.
NBA, yeah, he wasn't in NBA Jam, right? Or
he wasn't,
the NBA Live series.
He wasn't in NBA Live. No, he had his own. I mean, we all understood it. I mean, he was bigger than almost Gandhi. Rob Hubbard also worked on Populous, which was
another burner.
Yeah, well, I guess it's revered on PC, but Genesis is probably not the best way to play it. One of your favorites, Desert Strike.
Oh, the whole series or just Desert Strike?
Just Desert Strike.
Oh.
Just Desert Strike.
But yeah, that was the first one.
Yeah. Budokan, the martial arts game.
Bless you.
And it's terrible. It's awful. And the original Madden Football.
Ooh.
So that twangy, Genesis noise, a lot of those EA games were responsible for, I think, our memories of what that was. But so Randy Breen and Dan Geisler wanted to create this game, and really what their goal was with it is they wanted to make an evolution of Hang On. They were big fans of Yu Suzuki and the work he had done with Hang On, and they wanted to make a game like that, but that had a little bit more going for it. And when when the 16-bit consoles hit, they were able to take advantage of a little bit more of scaling opportunities within the at least the software that they were able to put on it. The scrolling of the screen was a lot smoother than those 8-bit consoles, so they were able to incorporate like the trees and the buildings and all the other things kind of passing by and giving that three-dimensional effect. They also were able to incorporate like hills and inclines and declines in the scrolling backgrounds as they were coming towards you. So they felt like at that point they had the technology to be able to put together a game like Road Rash and make it be successful. And it's kind of true, because the first Road Rash was also ported to the Sega Master System, Game Gear, Game Boy, and if you look at those 8-bit entries, they're very, very, very plain. I mean, at the first outset, when you look at them, they look, okay, this looks like a scaled-down Road Rash, but there's almost nothing going on in those games. I mean, it's
well, that's expected.
It's boring, and so going back to what they said, in terms of their thoughts about where the technology was, I think that they were right. That the Genesis was the right place to go. Dan Geisler actually did an AMA. If you don't know what that means, it's an Ask Me Anything. And
in the chat rooms, on the AOL chat room,
on Reddit.
Oh, Reddit, yeah.
And this was in 2013. He was answering questions about his career, but most of the questions were about Road Rash.
As they should be.
I mean, come on, right? And he said that he wanted to make this better hang-on experience. And then Randy Breen also said that he wanted to incorporate a lot of if you ever watch Grand Prix, like motorcycle Grand Prix, the guys who are racing those bikes will like jostle and like elbow each other and push each other out of the way. And the whole idea of this combat racing game kind of came to be, and it kind of just took off from there. So Dan Geisler actually owned bikes as a kid, so a lot of the animations, he had this one story about him and his buddy were racing their motorcycles or their dirt bikes on the road, and they take off after a light, and there's this side road, and they're not seeing what's happening on that side road, but a farmer comes and turns onto the main road. He brakes, his buddy doesn't. His buddy slams into the farmer, rolls over his bars, and basically wipes out. And he said that experience actually was how he put that wipeout animation into the actual game. Like his memory of that and how it occurred is how he animated the wipeout in the game. So these guys
makes sense.
Were really they were really passionate about putting this together. He also said that EA tried to kill the project twice. They thought it was too dangerous, and they didn't feel great about actually putting it together. So they kind of tried to kill it a couple of times, and they really pushed for it. Road Rash 1 is all in California. It's all in locations in California. So there's like the Sierra Nevadas, there's the city, there's the shoreline, and it kind of goes through a bunch of different areas in California. Road Rash 2 does a little bit more of like a continental United States racing structure, where you have the desert, you've got the Grand Canyon, you have some areas in California, but pretty much more of a national scope in the race tracks that you're racing on. And then Road Rash 3 took it even a step further and made it global. So you're racing in Argentina, you're racing in Europe, you're racing pretty much all over the world. The funniest thing, at the end of the AMA, somebody said to Dan, they said, so can you spread Road Rash through oral sex?
Oh, because you're talking about the actual physical road rash you get when you fall?
Yeah, he goes, orally? No, not orally. I might have missed this, but Road Rash 1 came out in November of 91. Road Rash 2, if you go on Wikipedia, it says 1993 with no date. But, of course,
what?
For Road Rash 2. But I went back into...
Yeah, 92.
Well, it says 1993. Click into that though. Go into that and see what it says.
It needs additional citations. Yeah.
Well, when you scroll down, does it say 1993? Yeah. So I was like, that is not a great date. I'm not going to go with that. So of course we went back to Usenet, back to the old posts, and there was a guy asking about it in November of 92, and another post I saw on January 2nd said, yeah, I went to Electronics Boutique. The manager there said it's selling like hotcakes. It's a great game. You should pick it up. So it had to have been released in 1990, at the end of 1992. So I'm thinking December of 92 is when Road Rash 2 came out, and then it was almost 3 years from that Road Rash 3 came out. It was May of 1995. So they were coming out with these games, for
2-year cycles basically.
Well, and then the 32-bit version came out in 1994, so it kind of overlapped Road Rash 3.
Oh, the 3D. You mean the 3DO one?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was because it was like a whole new game.
The 3DO was like on its own island. It was.
Yeah.
What happened on
7 people own that game.
Right. So yeah. So I mean, my recollections, my memories of this game. We used to go to my cousin's house all the time. My cousin Paulie. Hey, Paulie. And he had Road Rash 2, and we would play that quite a bit over his. He had like 2 games, and it was like Sonic the Hedgehog and Road Rash 2. So, I mean, you can only play so much Sonic the Hedgehog at that point. 1993, 1994.
Yeah.
I mean, we were already kind of moving on to. I mean, we appreciate Sonic the Hedgehog now, but it had already been about 3 years old by that point, so we wanted something new. But
get some of that anger out.
I'll tell you, man, playing Road Rash 2 and taking the chain to somebody. It's like,
especially when you can steal it from someone.
I know,
like the baton or whatever. They're about to hit you, and you just grab it.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, and Road Rash 2 was the game that the chain was first appeared in, because it was only a club that you could use in Road Rash 1. Road Rash 2 incorporates the chain, and then Road Rash 3 and beyond is like crazy. You got like cattle prods and crowbar.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about
crowbars.
that. See, that's the one I started with. I started on Road Rash 3.
Mm.
That was the first one I played.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta admit, I've never played Road Rash 3, but in looking at some of the videos of it, it's got that digitized look, but it looks kind of muddy. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to play it, but Road Rash 2 had that more that sprite-based character model. It looks a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, a little more vibrant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the Genesis only had 64 colors to work with anyways.
Yeah, because it used the solid colors, as in like the digitized is kind of like blended to look more realistic.
Right. And speaking about the characters, so one of the reasons why they went with motorcycles for the game is they said that there was way more character in motorcycles, and because you could see the whole character. If it was a car, you wouldn't be able to get that all the
even though you're just
nuance to the character.
Even though you're just basically like a random guy in a helmet.
Right. But the other thing too is that you could fit more characters on screen because they were smaller sprites.
Well, yeah, and if you want to do combat, it's not as good, in a car.
This isn't Spy Hunter. You're not going to just smash a guy to the right and knock him off the road.
Yeah, there was. Oh man, I can't remember that game. Was it Namco that made it? That car one where you could put it has the whole setup and you can be like in the car and someone else is like on your side. Man, what was that game called?
Spy Hunter?
No. It was like an over the top like arcade racing
Bump and Jump?
game. No. It was it almost looked like a between 16 and 32-bit. I think it was Namco that made it. And I'll have to think of it. I'll have to look.
Are you thinking of like almost like a Rad Racer style?
No, like a more like arcade, like first person in the car.
Oh, first person.
I'll have to figure it out.
I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah.
And what would you do in the game?
It was like you would shoot out like other cars and attack them. I don't think it was like a race.
From the windshield?
You think of like the kind of like Outrun, but like more like combat based. I'll
look
find
it up,
it.
See if you can.
Yeah.
See if you can find it. Trying to think if there's any other kind of cool little tidbits here.
I guess there was supposed to be they were gonna make one on Super Nintendo, I think, for Road Rash 2, but they canceled it before.
They were gonna make Road Rash, and it was gonna be in 1996, but by that point they had
96, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it was too late, and they just ended up canceling it. In fact, 2 and 3 are kind of like locked to the Genesis. They weren't on any other system. And actually, you can kind of group in Road Rash CD or Road Rash for Sega CD because although that had the soundtrack from the 32-bit versions,
it was just
the whole engine is Road Rash 3.
No. It's Road Rash 1 or 2 on the Sega CD. At least the style it looks like is
It's
Road
digitized.
Rash 2.
It's digitized characters.
It looks like Road Rash 2.
I'm getting my Road Rashes mixed up, so you could be right. I could be wrong on that. But it's definitely a Genesis version, and it's got the soundtrack. So it's not. I know there was some confusion about whether or not it was going to be the 32-bit version. It's not the 32-bit version.
It's kind of like you know what? It's almost like a blend of like Road Rash 2 and Road Rash 3.
I thought it had digitized characters, like
it kind of does, yeah.
Because it also has like the FMV sequences from the 32-bit versions.
Yeah, and they have like the music videos in it.
And the music. And actually, Road Rash for Sega CD is the only version that has the licensed tracks in the game while you're playing. All of the other 32-bit versions, the only thing that you hear during the races are the bikers and the bikes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you don't hear that licensed like Soundgarden and
not even on
Hammerbox. I mean, actually, I got it right here. And
not even the 3DO version. Obviously, I've never played the. No, they don't.
At least for my research.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, the next one that would have the licensed music is Road Rash 64.
Yes.
Which was
Lemonade and Brownies. I know. We'll get into it.
Which was pretty good for a Nintendo 64 game.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's so. I mean they kind of succeeded in what they set out to, obviously, because they made 5 or 6 different other versions of Road Rash after the first one came out, and it really kind of was a revelation. It was you can race. I mean, so the objective. I probably should have said this before, but the objective really is you need to win that race, but you also need to defend yourself, and in defending yourself, you kind of need to be aggressive sometimes and actually.
Yeah,
knock guys off their bikes because they'll knock you off your bike, or you got the cops. You got the cops coming after you.
And you would you'd get more money, right? For like
yes,
at the end of the race, you'd like depending on how many people you knocked down, or if you escaped a cop, or if you took out the cop.
Right, and depending on the version, you have to end up in 3rd or 4th place to continue and move forward to the next race. And then when you finish, the money that you win, you can use to upgrade. Depending on the version, upgrade your car or upgrade your bike, or buy a new bike. So you start at.
She want to ride the motorbike.
That's right. Right. She said, "You want to run trains?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "He grabbed my dick." I was like, "Yo!" Shout out to Rich Hernandez if he's still around.
They're riding nuts to butts, as they would say.
Oh. There's a lot of interesting people.
What you can't do in this, you can't do in Road Rash. They didn't implement that into any of their games.
Well, that was supposed to be in the 5th entry, but it never actually worked out.
Yeah,
they couldn't get that adult-only rating.
Yeah.
Now I forgot my spot. Oh, so yeah, you start with they call it rat bikes. Basically, it's like
the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, that's like might be a Frankenstein.
The rat bikes, which was also they would call in wrestling. They call the girls that would be after the shows. They call them rats, ring rats.
Oh,
yeah.
What do you mean the girls after the shows?
Like
the
girls.
Oh, going
to Pound Town.
Yeah, going in the room.
Yeah.
Like the after party.
Yeah. Get a little nice figure 4 on them. Oof. An atomic drop, so to speak.
Rats, huh? Those are like groupies, right?
Yeah. But they're called ring rats.
Oh, that's like even more degrading.
Yeah, it definitely is.
You know who came up with that?
No idea.
Come on, you're the resident wrestling knowledge base.
I don't know where the origin of the names come from.
The origin of the rat, of the ring rat. Yeah, so you're basically leveling up those bikes, and you're progressing. So there is a there's a progression system in the game that's satisfying too, because it's not just an arcade racer. There's actually more to it, and you can build on that and get better and better. And can you win the game? Like, is there a way to win?
I don't know. I don't know if I mean, I think you just
like a final race.
You just I think it's just you complete all the races in the top spot, and then it's.
Don't worry, folks. We're only doing this podcast. I mean, we don't actually know what happens in the end. So, if you know if you can win at Road Rash and actually beat the game, just please let us know.
It's just like you in a racing game, like in Mario Kart. You just race, and if you average in first place through all the races, then you win.
End up in first place.
Yeah,
probably. So those are the notes that I have on the first 3 games. Do you have any memories, any stories about these games? I mean, that's what this podcast is all about.
So it's all about. Well, the thing is, yeah, I only played to start. I only played the third one. I think we rented it because I didn't buy it. I think we rented it from Stop and Shop.
Always from Stop and Shop.
I mean, you live down the street from it.
At that point, it was super Stop and Shop.
Because there was no Blockbuster yet. We got Blockbuster late in the game.
We had Movie Doctor, remember?
Oh, jeez.
Over there on...
was that the one in Bridge
Main
Street?
Next to Bridge Street. It was...
Is that dump one?
It was right... You know where Charter Oak Credit Union is? It was right there. There was
another one, too, that was right... where the Dunkin' Donuts was? There was one that was in that little building right there. If you go downstairs, there was one there. There was the Bridge Street Plaza one. And then there was another one, if you remember... If you were coming, like from Wyndham, and this was before they built all the those apartments or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they used to have on that big mural out front. They had like the Ninja Turtles with Mario on it.
Yes. Yep.
That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it had like Roger Rabbit on it.
Yep. I never went into that one. It was always the Stop and Shop one.
Is that the Connecticuts?
Yeah,
the hair salon
with like that New York Yankees logo.
Yeah.
It's all jacked up.
Yo, we going to Connecticut's gonna get a tight fade.
I don't know if that's Connecticut's, but it's one of the barbershops or whatever.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Connecticut's because my brother used to go there and he was in.
Because I remember the first time playing Road Rash 3, we rented it, and I think it was at my friend Ryan Susie's house because he had a Sega Genesis at the time too, and we
Only the cool kids.
We must have played that. I remember sleeping over his house. We must have played that literally like from the night until the morning, just over and over and over, just trying to do like the dumbest shit in the game.
Right.
Not even try to win the race.
No.
Just try to attack everyone or try to like go fast enough and try to jump over a car and land into another car, or just, like hit the cow and see how far you would fly off your bike. Because when you would get hit, you'd have to run back to your bike.
You couldn't steal anybody's bike either.
No, and it was a long because he only could he did like a
hustling.
Yeah,
but he was super slow.
He didn't really run.
No,
it was just like
a jog.
It looked like he was running, but it was just like the slowest walk. And you would get caught if the police were near you because you couldn't get back on your bike quick enough. Then you'd get caught, and you'd have to spend your money to get out of jail or whatever. You pay a fine.
Right. It's a new fad. I think they call it yogging.
Yeah.
It's like a soft J.
But I remember laughing so hard because at the end, when you would finish the race, they'd do like a little, not like a cut scene, but like there'd be like this little
with the FMV versions. Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the Genesis version. There'd be like a little animated thing after the race. It'd be something like if you didn't place like first, they'd show like the person in first, like all the crowd with them, or there'd be something where you'd be coming in and then you'd hit the street sign. If we would play it, you'll see it, and it's in Road Rash 3. There's like this. It's not a FMV, but it's like basically like part of the game. It's like a little cartoon kind of thing at the end of the. We would always get to the end of the race just to see if there was like a new little
another little snip,
little scene.
Mm.
But man, I remember just beating beating the cops with like the bat or whatever, because then you would get the bonus for knocking them out.
Road Rash 3 is the first one, I think. From the notes that I had, that you could actually beat up the cop and knock him off his bike.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. But
that was the best part.
Road Rash 2 is the one when I was going back and looking at all these posts and looking at reviews, and also modern takes, Road Rash 2 is the one that people come back to and say that was my favorite, especially on that AMA with Dan Geisler. Everybody was saying Road Rash 2. Like Road Rash 2 is my favorite.
Yeah, because they just took the formula from Road Rash 1 and just expanded on it. They didn't like change
without
the
going
gameplay
going to the digitized graphics yet.
Yeah. They just expanded the first one, which is usually what you need to do.
It's funny when you talk about just trying to do like the dumbest random things. It reminds me of like when GTA 3 came out.
Yeah, that was
and
yeah.
it was like, let's see if we can get the SWAT team after us. And you'd get 2 cars and block like an entryway, and then just take the RPG and just blow everything up going by you. And then the helicopters will come in. You take another RPG.
Yeah.
And they have like the army trucks coming in. You just see how much destruction you could make before you got arrested or killed.
Yeah, we used to do that in Need for Speed. Like I think the Need for Speed on PlayStation, the first one, my friend Jesse Clark, we would just play that game. We would just
like the Need for Speed.
Yeah, like
Road
the first one. Yeah, that was Electronic Arts too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and there was like one level where there was like just a log like on the side of the road. So we would like quit the race and just try to get this log in with the car to bump the log into the road so like the cars couldn't go anymore. Just like spend an hour just trying to do that, And it was
but you just try to break the game.
Yeah,
it's just like fun, stupid shit that you can do. I remember I got a bumper sticker from one of the magazines I read, and I put it on my trash can. It said the Need for Speed. It said if you can read this, I'm stopped.
Oh. Because you're going so fast, you can't read it.
Yeah, but of course I'm a bonehead and I put it upside down, so I don't know what was wrong with my brain.
Put it on your trash can instead of your Huffy.
Yeah, no, we don't want to put it on the Huffy. So that was, Road Rash 2 was my entry point, and it was really the one experience I had with that, and it was awesome. I never owned the game specifically. Like, I never had it myself.
Yeah, I never had any of them either.
But it was one of those. It was just one of those things that, it kind of typified what the Genesis was about at that era.
It was hip, man. It was cool.
But that's what Sega was going for, and that was such a big deal. Anybody who knows the history of EA and Sega is, EA kind of put the screws to Sega. They reverse engineered the Genesis, and they could make cartridges on their own. They didn't need Sega for anything. And so they worked out a better deal. They got cartridges for $2 instead of $8.
And they made their own.
That's why you had those EA cartridges that had that little yellow tab on the side of them.
Yeah.
They made their own.
Most of the time when you're looking for games now and you see those, you're like, I'm just going to skip all over all those.
But you look at it and you say, okay, well, Madden, Road Rash, Populous was a popular game. There were people that really liked it.
I'm guessing the Jungle Strike, Desert Strike,
those ended up coming out on Super Nintendo as well. But But in that early era, EA was pretty heavily in the Sega camp, and it was that cool. It was that attitude. It was that extreme. It was something different to Nintendo, and it's what drew a lot of the older kids to Sega, and it made the younger kids want to be like the older kids. And so for me, now Road Rash was not a game that I owned, but that was John Madden Football. John Madden Football was the game that we just idolized playing as kids. And it's kind of in that same vein. It was just a cool, awesome game. It was different. It was something that Nintendo didn't have, and something that Nintendo wasn't about. And it was, and it really affected what happened with, let's say, like you mentioned, the Tony Hawk series and that extreme era, and kind of kicked that whole thing off, which makes it very special, not only for the gameplay that it brings, but also the kind of that style and that attitude and that flair that affected a lot of games, even up until today, I would say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I have more memories, but they're about other versions of Road Rash, so we'll get into that as we do. But how about we fire up one of these? Which one do you want to fire up?
I go behind the garage. You fire it up.
Do you want to do Road Rash 3?
I want to fire it up. I got both. I got Road Rash 2 and 3.
All right. Let's keep everybody.
Let's
keep everybody.
Let's play. No, we'll do Road Rash 2. We'll play just just a track or two just to get a feel for it, and then we'll put in Road Rash 3 so we can get a kind of contrast and compare.
Sounds like a plan.
A good plan.
We will be right back.
Rip.
This portion of our show has been brought to you by
Shaq, yo, Shaq, I've always been like that. Here comes power play, Shaq, jamming, slamming on the attack, making the moves, give and go. Shaq's playing a winning show. Shaq, yo, Shaq, I've always been like that. Can't stop this scoring machine. Shaq's a classic playing dream with a power crash hoop. Don't turn your back, cause it might be the Shaq attack. Shaq attack figures and hoop sets, each sold separately.
We're back.
All I can say is.
All I know.
All I can say is wow.
Wow.
No, seriously. Wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow. It's like slapping those alligators. Wow, 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 wow. That's your reaction to Road Rash 3?
Wait, is that the alligators or is that the moles or the
gators,
the groundhogs or whatever?
Gators. Now I'm really mad. Wow, 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 wow,
can't hit
wow,
'em fast
wow,
enough.
wow, wow, wow.
You can't hit those alligators fast enough. For some reason, I never got the high score. Even when you'd team up with a friend.
You get the high score was 121. You'd always get 119.
But it'd be how does that even happen? I've got 3 of the alligators. You got 3. There's no way we're missing them.
We're just pounding sand over here. That's what it is.
It probably wasn't registering. That's why.
Yeah, you just punch the shit out of those things.
We did that in Florida when we were at the arcade. We did that. You know the arcade one where it's a bunch of blue circles and it's in front of you.
Yeah, you got to smash the buttons.
And you got to smash the blue buttons. It was
that's
and Sal.
That's the spider web one, isn't it?
It looks like a.
Oh no,
the
old one was a spider web one, but you had to step on them back in the day.
Oh no, this is just bubbles.
Yeah.
Bubbles in front of you that you gotta smack. But no, you forget how impressive that.
It's
game
a funny thing.
We ended up playing Road Rash 2 and Road Rash 3, and I don't know how to start. I mean, it's again going back to what we said previously. The game is revelatory. I mean, in blending of the action of hitting people on bikes. It's like the equivalent. You get this rush when the characters are up, they're coming up alongside you,
slapping them with chains,
and you've already stolen a chain or you've already gotten a club. It's like when you want to hate fuck somebody,
yeah, totally.
I
can relate to that.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. You're maniacally excited to just destroy these guys, and you can do it, and you're gonna do it. It's just like that, and then the satisfaction when you club them over the head and you hear that, you just, or you knock them into a car that's oncoming.
Or when you get the chain, and whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. You got hit 3 times, and they just they just fly off the bike.
You know how I know it's a good
Never
game?
gets old.
You know when you know you're playing a good game that's like a competitive game like that is when you get hit by a car and you just laugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're hot in pursuit, you're in 4th place, you can smell first, and then a car just
and then boom,
smack, just knocks you back, or you hit a deer or that dog.
Well, yeah, that's in Road Rash 3.
Yeah, and it's just you can't help but just start laughing and smiling.
Yeah, it's so dumb. You don't even get upset. You're I'm not even mad.
The game just brings a smile to your face, and that's how you know you're playing a good game, or a great game, I should say. So the funny thing I didn't really notice until we played was that the characters bounce like pinballs off of each other.
Oh yeah, if you're on the road and you got 3 other riders next to you, it's just and if you touch one, you fly across the screen. It's great.
I almost wish that their arms were just a tad bit longer, because it always seems like when you want to punch somebody or you want to chain them, you almost end up bumping into them before you actually hit them.
Yeah.
You have to almost ride alongside them. You can't push your bike into them and try to hit them because you'll just
there's a little bit of strategy to it.
There's some nuance. One thing I forgot to mention that I remembered as we were playing was these games have rubber band AI, so it's a good. I think it's a good thing. Some people don't like it because you could be up in first and the guys will always be right near you, like ready to try to overtake. But on the flip side, if you're getting hit or you get hit by a car, it doesn't take that much to get right back into the race.
In Road Rash 3, I think they evened it out a little bit, or at least the difficulties a little bit higher.
I think Road Rash 3 is harder than Road Rash 2.
I think that's what makes it a better game, though.
Another thing that I forgot to mention is that Road Rash 2 and 3, the difference between those and the first game is that they have simultaneous play, so you can play multiplayer. Two people at the same time, which you couldn't do in the first game. And then the other difference between 2 and 3 is you have the sprite base in 2, you have the digitized in 3, and
it's not really. I mean, doesn't make it better or worse, in my opinion.
I don't think the style affects the playability at all.
No, it plays almost like exactly the same as Road Rash 2. Moves a little bit faster.
So I got to tell you, I mean, I was enjoying Road Rash 2, and I thought that was the one I was going to like more. We put in Road Rash 3.
I was like, we're playing Road Rash 2. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Road Rash 3 is better if I remember correctly.
Grin from ear to ear. I mean, so first off, the road seems wider in Road Rash 3. It seems like you've got more room to run in terms of left to right. In Road Rash 2, the road seems a little bit narrower. I don't know if that's true or not, but it feels that way. It feels like there's more room in Road Rash 3. Again, I don't know if that's true or not. I think that the scrolling is smoother in Road Rash 3. I think the way the road comes into the screen is smoother.
They added a few more obstacles during the races too. They added some more scenery to it, and there's like people scattered throughout the track
on the side of the road.
There's
more animals,
definitely more animals, more vehicles. There's just a lot more road hazards. There's actually, unless you have to, it's one of the games where you have to play through a bunch of times and kind of memorize where certain things are, because on the side of the roads there's just random ramps set up. I don't know if they help you or not, but when you hit those ramps, it is amazing because you float over the whole road.
Well, I'll tell you, in Road Rash 2, we were playing that one, and there are some absolutely massive jumps where you fly way into the screen. You don't know what you're going to land on.
Yeah, but when you
that feeling of like you almost like it's immersive. Like you feel like weightless with the character in the game. You're like, I don't know what's going to happen when I land, but I feel like I'm flying right now, and that's amazing.
Yeah, because if you can time it, it's kind of just random. If you're going and you have other people on the side of you and you hit that jump at the same time and you can whip them in the air and they fly off their bike, oh, it's great.
Yeah, there's something really satisfying,
about beating another man with a chain.
Yeah, it's unctuous
in a video game.
It's unctuous. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. I don't understand that word.
You need to watch more Chopped. It's pretty much like 3 shows that I watch. It's Chopped, Guys Grocery Games, and Rick and Morty. If it's not one of those 3, I probably haven't seen it.
I'm out.
One of the things I do appreciate between both games is that the racing itself is not too difficult. So, the developers, when they made it, there are subtle movements to the road left and right. There are some harder breaks where you have to really pay attention, but by and large, the tracks are pretty straight. There are some ups and downs. Like when you're going up a little bit of a hill, it's hard to see. You can't see if there's a car. I got destroyed by a car in Road Rash 3 because I couldn't see what was over it on the other side.
That's what makes it so good, though.
But those are the brakes.
These are the brakes.
You know what I mean?
Oh, Curtis Blow.
But the actual racing piece, I really, really like the fact that they didn't make it too difficult. It's just, I mean, if you can...
Yeah, because you don't want to turn on your Genesis and play Road Rash and it's like Gran Turismo.
Exactly.
Because you want everybody to be able to play it.
But the balance between the racing and the fighting action is so perfect, which is what makes it blend so well, So
You're right.
it's like a gourmet meal. You know, you got all the different pieces of the recipe coming in, and it just makes something better than its individual parts.
Yeah, and if anyone's played it before, you probably also noticed the bottom, the HUD screen or whatever. It actually has, so if you're on a motorcycle, you have both your rear view mirrors, and it actually shows that on the bottom.
Side view mirrors,
yeah. Side view mirrors, and it actually shows that on the screen too, so you can see when other bikes are coming up from behind you. Or the best part is when you knock someone with the chain, you can watch them like fly.
Or you
behind
knock them into a car.
Yeah, and you can see like the car hit them, which is pretty cool. I don't know if there was any any racing games that had that feature in it. If it was probably like an EA game, like that Turbo Lotus Challenge or some game like that, where they had that rear view mirror at the same time.
Yeah,
I don't know if there was anything like that.
I don't know, man.
There could have been. I don't know.
All I can say is these games are phenomenal. I would say the third one is
the pinnacle.
I'm sorry, the third one's better than the second one. It just is. The music, I think, is that other piece that just throws it over. You start in Brazil, and you've got sort of like this sort of Amazon-y, sort of tiki sort of
Amazonian is the word you're looking for.
Amazonian?
Would you say Amazon?
Amazon-y. It's not a word? I said it. It's a word, right?
Yeah,
Didn't you say that in our second podcast?
If you say it, it's a word.
Amazon-y. And then you go to not Italy. You go to
the UK, right?
UK.
Dun, dun, oh my god. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh my god! When that guitar drops,
it is the perfect driving and beating music.
I mean, all the tracks are good. Even the Italian when we go to Italy.
No, all of them are good.
But then it blends with the guitars and that rock
kind
and roll
of music you want to listen to during Road Rash.
Yeah. So
it's the second game. I can't even. I honestly don't even remember any of the music.
No, they were good. They were good.
But they didn't have that Sega sound to them, as in this one.
I just don't think that. When you play the third one, I'll tell you this.
That sound you want to hear in the Genesis game.
I would play the second one again, but if I have the third one, I don't want to play the second one right now.
No.
Do me a favor.
There's no point.
Do me a favor. Can you look on your phone and tell me right now what?
Do me a solid.
Let's see. Maybe I'll pick up a copy. Can you look up and see what Road Rash 3 is going for? Complete.
Oh, complete.
Yeah. Look on eBay. Look at the sold.
I would guess complete.
Come on, $10-15.
I would
that.
say
those old EA games don't hold up. They don't have the value. That's my guess, at least.
I would say it would be $22. I'm going with
22, huh?
22.
Why not go $21.77?
No, not if someone's putting in the best offer.
You got to watch out for those for the buy it nows. You want to look for auctions.
So yeah, it's like $20. Yeah, $20, like including shipping for
including shipping.
Well, actually, here we go. Well, $19.95 with no book.
No, we want the book.
Tested and working, no book. $16 plus shipping. Road Rash 3. It's about complete. The last one sold for $29 plus shipping.
Go to your local used game store if you have one near you and see if they have it in stock. It's probably going to be a little bit cheaper, I would hope.
But you're going to spend like $20-$25.
But I think it's worth it.
Definitely.
I think it's worth it. This game is phenomenal. You know, a lot of these old EA games, they don't get talked about, but some of the games that I come back to the most are the old NHL games. Madden, definitely. I'm going to be going back to Road Rash now. NBA Jam, which isn't a EA game, but a lot of these like sports type games that people think are just kind of like throwaway because it's not Gunstar Heroes, or it's not Mutant League Hockey, which is a sports game, but it's one of the more revered ones. There's some good games there that are not too crazy. I mean, in fact, even $20-$25 sounds like a lot for a Genesis game like that, but I think it's worth it. I think it's totally worth it. So,
and it does have. I mean, I remember playing it back in the day, and even though it was a 2-player co-op game, I think we barely ever played it 2-player co-op.
No, because
it was
the
more
full screen.
Yeah, but it was more fun just like playing it and then watching the person playing it, and then like, oh shit, you just got hit, and then like
because it's like there's an audience that you want.
And the course is the track. It's 3 minutes maybe, like each race.
Yeah.
So it's like you just switch back and forth in between races.
And that's the interesting thing, because you can, if you fall once during a race, and you fall at the beginning of the race or at the end of the race, it's gonna massively impact where you're gonna end up because of that
beginning
because of that rubber band AI.
Yeah, it barely matters if you fall down in like the first 30 seconds. You'll get right back.
Well,
up
I
into
said
the
rubber
front.
band AI, but really just the fact that you get knocked down at the end, people are gonna blow by you, and you're not gonna have a chance to catch up. So. But extremely highly recommended. I'm loving this game. I'm going to be picking up a copy soon, definitely. So, man, I don't know if there's anything else to say. You got anything else on this game?
I think we got it, man. I knew it was my favorite one going in. I knew it was going to be better. Now I don't even remember the last time I played it. I don't even, because I just got it. I don't know, 2 years ago, off eBay. I think I got it really cheap. I think it was like $10.
Back then,
just the cart though.
I say back then, but 2 years ago is like,
Yeah.
like an eternity in the world of classic gaming.
And I don't even remember, because I didn't have it since whenever it came. 1995? I don't even remember if I played it since then until now.
You realize that's almost 25 years, right?
I know. I didn't have it, so I couldn't have. You didn't have it.
Nope.
I don't know anyone else that I don't.
No,
I'm not gonna go.
I remember Road Rash.
I don't
too.
have any other friends, so I'm not gonna go anywhere else's house.
Thanks for admitting that on the podcast.
So, I really don't think I've played it since then. Shout out to Ryan Susi.
Ryan Susi.
That was the last person I played it with.
Ryan Susi, you're the man. We miss you. Hit us up. Hit us up. All right. So yeah, I mean, I can't say enough good things about this series. I mean, get your hands on any one of these games, Road Rash 1, 2, or 3. But if you can get 3, I would say go for that one. It's I gotta say, guys, when this podcast ends, I'm gonna be jumping into more Road Rash 3 because this game's friggin' phenomenal, and it's different than the future versions that came out, and it seems to be the pinnacle of those games. So if you get a chance, try to pick this up, emulate it, or pick it up for your Sega Genesis. It's the only place it was. As far as I know, I don't think it's anywhere else.
Well, yeah, just the lesser
I just don't know
version on the Game Gear.
But I don't know if you can get it on like Xbox Live or if you can get it on PSN or anything like that. Or like
I don't think so.
I would.
I don't.
Maybe the Switch.
I don't think
maybe the Wii U?
I don't think EA has ever done that. I don't think they put any of their games on like.
Yeah, they're too focused on their massive multiplayer online RPGs.
They were never available on like the Wii Shop or any of those like online download. Like,
you don't remember that from like the Wii days?
What
at all? Like any of the EA games, like
no.
John Madden Football?
Well, obviously you couldn't do football games. I don't think you can do that now.
Oh, that's true.
With all the licenses, I mean, even though EA still has the Madden license, but I don't know how that works with putting retro.
The characters,
sports games on it.
Like the people.
Because I don't think they've ever done that. Or wait, does Tecmo Bowl didn't have
They had real people.
Did they put? Because that's on the. Isn't that on the NES Classic, the mini?
I don't know. But anyway, so I think what we're gonna do, guys, is we're gonna do like we did last time. We'll cut it off here because we got the first few games, and the next time when we come back, we'll go more into the 32-bit and 64-bit versions. Namely Road Rash, with the rock and roll soundtrack that
into
was,
a whole
was
new
licensed.
dimension of Road Rash gaming.
The 3DO, Saturn, and PlayStation versions, and then we'll go into Road Rash 64 and kind of compare and contrast the two and give you our thoughts on those. But like I said, these games are fantastic, and we can't recommend them highly enough. So, Trenton, why don't you tell everybody where they can find us on all the social medias?
We gonna find you. We gonna find you. You can find us at the Turbo Duo on Instagram. You can search for us on Facebook at the Turbo Duo, which I probably have to do more updates on. And you can also search us on YouTube, which we still don't have that official a title placement yet. We're not in the upper echelon.
What's the best way that people can find us on YouTube if they're looking for us?
I mean, you can type in the Turbo Duo. I honestly don't even know how else to look it up. You put in the Turbo Duo, obviously you're just going to get the actual system itself. If you just put in like the Turbo Duo pickups, because we did a bunch of pickup videos on there, or you type in the Turbo Duocast, it should put up, because we're putting the audio versions of the podcast on YouTube, and we should have it up on iTunes and all the other platforms within the next week or two. It's because we just upgraded the Podbean. But if you go on to our Instagram, we have the link to the Podbean, so you can just click it right from there. And
we're gonna look to do iTunes pretty soon. I want to get on the iTunes because a lot of people
make it
are
real official.
Yeah, it's just an easier system.
No, I know.
I think if you go back to our first couple podcasts, we were really trying to feel out the podcast and see how we liked it. We're still evolving it, obviously, but just kind of wanted to see where it was going to go. And I think we've got a little bit of a rhythm here, and looking to do a lot more podcasts. So I think iTunes is probably the next step for us, and we'll get a lot of the guys who have iPhones on there and be able to get on there.
Yep.
Least. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for listening again. We really appreciate it. If you have any suggestions for future podcasts, like Trenton said, hit us up on social media, email us, and let us know what you're thinking. Let us know how the podcast is going. If there's things that we should change or modify or additions. I've thought about possibly doing like a question and answer thing, or like a lot of podcasts do like name that game or name that character.
Ooh.
But with one person, I don't know if you could hang with that. I don't know if it would be something that we should do, or what. So, anyways, those types of ideas. If you guys have some thoughts, let us know. And again, just thank you so much for listening, and thanks for the support. And whatever you're doing, be safe, be happy, be healthy, and keep it retro
All the time.